Start, Rashmi.
Yes. Namaste and good evening to one and all. Welcome to Leaders Connect 360's episode LC 0109. Leaders Connect 360 is a CSR initiative by Bija Training and organized by the Mask Leadership. I'm Rashmi Malapur, author and founder of Research Eye. We are content curators and storytellers. Leaders Connect 360 is started with the specific objective of inviting 1,000 plus leaders and create 1 million leaders. It's an online hub where every Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. we learn from top management leaders on Zoom Live. And once in quarter, in each city, we have an offline networking meet to network, support, and grow with the leaders. That's when we call it Leaders Create More Leaders. Currently, all are muted, and we will be giving you an opportunity to speak to our guest, Mr. Kannan Sugantharaman, Chief Financial Officer, Omega Healthcare. Before you are unmuted, let me share that we are currently live on LinkedIn, and this episode, LC0109, is being recorded. First-time visitors may click on WhatsApp, FB, and LinkedIn link on the chat box to get updated by joining us in creating more leaders. All in-house are requested to turn on your videos, which will help in making the episode highly interactive. So, are we all ready to interact with our guest, Mr. Kannan Sugantharaman, Chief Financial Officer, Omega Healthcare, and author of the week, Mr. Sai Vijendhiran, on the topic of 10 guiding principles? Then share a thumbs up or a smiley in the chat box. Thank you very much. Before the introduction of the guest, let me also introduce Mr. Prakash Sharma, Founder Director, the Mask Leadership, who will interact with our guest along with the panel discussion leader, Ms. Archana Sriram. I shall welcome you all. Over to you, Mr. Prakash.
Thank you very much, Rashmi. That's an awesome introduction. And welcome all the leaders. Welcome, Mr. Kannan. Welcome, Mr. Sai. And thanks for joining us for the Leaders Connect special episodes. And it's been really great honor that you have you all here. And thanks very much, Mr. Kannan. I believe you're able to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Able to. That's right. Thank you.
Great. Welcome, sir. Thanks very much for joining in here. How are you, sir?
Couldn't be better, Prakash, and thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to being here and to interact with you all. And it's a great forum. I'm more willing to kind of understand how the forum works, but it looks to be a great initiative. So thanks for having me as part of the forum.
Thanks very much, Mr. Kannan. And yes, that's how we are. More motto is to leaders create more leaders. And that's how we are inviting all the guest of honors, author of the week, and there are so many other leaders out here in the forum which are interacting and then discussing here. Thanks very much, Mr. Kannan. And we also like to welcome Mr. Sai Vijendhiran. Welcome, Mr. Sai, and thanks very much for being our author of the week, Mr. Sai. And on that note, we should start the episode as well. It's already been time. And it's a very nice topic, 10 guiding principles. It's a very unique topic. What are those 10 guiding principles is what we are all, I'm sure all would be very keen to listen and learn. So a quick introduction about Mr. Kannan and Mr. Sai Vijendhiran. We have it as a video format here so that rather than we sharing it, we have a quick video about their introduction. So Arul, I would request you to play the video for Mr. Kannan and Mr. Sai Vijendhiran about their introduction. Thank you very much, Arul, for that awesome video. And yes, members and visitors, please type welcome, Mr. Kannan. And then we have Sai, as well as our panel discussion leader. And how a panel discussion leader instead of Ms. Archana today, due to some exigency we had. And then we have Priyanka as a panel discussion leader today. We understand certain emergency, that's fine. But thanks very much. That's really been great that all are in here. Thanks very much, Priyanka, for being a panel discussion leader to host this show along with Mr. Kannan. And that's been really great. So good. So I would request all the members and visitors who are here for the first time. So keep your videos on, interact more, and let's understand what are those 10 guiding principles of Mr. Kannan Sugantharaman. And yes, Mr. Sai Vijendhiran, I understand you are unable to unmute, and I saw your message. Maybe Arul, if you can just unmute Mr. Sai Vijendhiran, so we'll just at least say a welcome note to Mr. Sai, and then we start our episode. Hi, Mr. Sai. I believe now you're able to unmute.
Okay. Not able.
Yeah, it's fine now. Okay,
Arul,
Arul, kindly check.
Yes, I'll check it.
Yeah, kindly check so that maybe by the time we complete it, we'll be able to have it. There could be technical component. Thanks very much. So let's continue then. So Priyanka, over to you to have an awesome panel discussion along with Mr. Kannan Sugantharaman. Thanks very much. And I'll be back again after the quick discussion along with Priyanka. Over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, Prakash sir. And really, it is an opportunity to discuss with sir. Welcome you, sir. And how are you, sir?
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, sir. Really very excited for today's topic, sir, guiding principles, sir. And sir, as I read about this topic yesterday, sir, I read some of the things that guiding principles are the set of the values or beliefs. And I think it will also help us in the organization where we are working, because it will guide us for making the decision and it will help us in the behaviors. So, sir, my first question, sir, what is 10 guiding principles and which area of life does it cover?
Yeah. So Priyanka, I don't want to make this a bit preachy. It doesn't help, because if you go out and look out for us, any motivation book or any leadership book, I'm not going to talk anything different to what is already given there. The only difference that I can bring to you is the last 25 years that I have been in different organizations and what I have learned as what is of importance to me. It was important to me, and when I was, as I interacted with a fair set of people, I found resonance to the points that I would be covering right now. I don't have a presentation. These are just 10 points. I have put it down as part of my, I do write a bit for myself. And some things that really stood out time and again across the last 25 years are these principles. I don't intend this to be preachy, so take it for what it's worth. What I can tell you that it's worked in my life, and I've seen that resonate with some of my team members and leaders that I have worked with. So I'm going to just give you a gist of that and give you some practical examples of what I mean, because these are self-explanatory for that matter, right? I can give you the principle, just walk away, but the context of why I am saying what I'm saying is possibly what is more relevant for this this group out here. And again, don't see it as learning. It just as a continuous aspect of you thinking about, and if 3 or 4 things resonate with you, I think that would be great. So is that okay if I just lay it down, give you the context, and just from, just to guide you all and focus, you've seen me, I don't want you to keep seeing me, but just to focus on the point of what I'm trying to convey, I'm just going to bring about a simple presentation out there. So I'm just going to, will I be able to share?
Yes, Arul, please give the share option.
Yes.
No,
yes.
I think I am able to.
Already got it? Perfect, thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we are.
And again, I am not calling it guiding. I'm not calling it core. I'm not calling it anything. These are just 10 principles that worked in my life. And I just want you to see if that works in yours.
Yeah.
Right. And, I've used this across corporate offices, This applies to a family. This, in my mind, applies to school-going kids. This applies to, university kids, in any facet of your life. In whatever you get to do, everything is a matter of relationship. You need to understand that in any place that you are, as I said, it can be a school, it can be a college, it can be your first work, it can be sports. Yeah, any of these. The first and foremost in my mind is trust building. And that would apply not just from a career standpoint, as I said, it applies to every place. And trust building comes, think about it. Why would anybody trust you? Right? Why would you trust anybody? You would trust anybody if you believe the person means right, does not have a hidden agenda, watches out and cares for me in the truest of sense, gives me the benefit of doubt when I am supposed to have that benefit of doubt. And these are not principles that will apply in a, sorry to say this, but corporate world is also a fair amount of rat race that's happening. And if you want to be outside of the rat race, the only way is not to be a rat, right? Don't be a rat. You don't have to be one. You don't have to run that, in the whole competing world. And it's honestly not true that it is all competing. True in a sense, because there are limited supply of resources, limited supply of channels, limited supply of opportunities. But there are elements of what you can say, come out of and be true to yourself, because this is basic character building in any organization. Yes. And my life, it has always been the case that I have been, and all my life, I have seen, I've not just been with finance, right? While I am a chartered accountant, I have my MBA and so on and so forth. I actually moved from being a finance guy into managing operations for a 2 billion enterprise in a business unit in Cognizant, completely out of my comfort zone, so to say. And that was possible because of the trust I built over the period of that organization in that, with that leadership. Let's say, for example, for somebody to be running a P&L while he or she has been working in the finance domain. Now, I can't overemphasize on this. This is the single most important principle that has worked for me in my life, in all the jobs that I have had, and I haven't had many, and you will see that as one of the principles as well, but I haven't had many. It's, I was with KPMG, I was in audit, then it was Sutherland, Cognizant, and Omega in all of 25 years, right? I haven't moved around, right? 11 years with Sutherland and about 7 years with Cognizant and about 3 years with Omega right now. In all of that, what I found was, first, find that core value that you bring into the organization, which is the skill part of it, right? You're brought in because you have the skill. But the first thing you have to make sure is you find your core group within the organization and start building a network of trust. And that network of trust is starting with what I call giving. Do not expect anything from that giving. It could be simply working with your colleague and making the colleague, I'll just give you a very practical example, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. If you're working on a problem statement, let's say, as an organization, and that problem statement is given to one of your colleagues to solve for, you can put up your arms and say, hey, I'll work with you on this. Let's assume for the time being that you genuinely came up with your idea. Give it to that person and say, hey, this was your job. You go and present it. And it doesn't matter where the credit belongs. Just give the credit back. That builds credibility in the organization. Or it doesn't matter. You can be in finance, you can be helping an ops person, you can be helping a technology person, it can be. When you do that, and when you do that consistently without expecting anything at all, first time you do it, people will be very, very suspicious. They will say, hey, you've given me, you don't seem to want anything else. Is there something that I'm missing in the big picture, right? Because people are so used to what they call quid pro quo, which is, hey, I scratch yours, you scratch mine. When you move out of the mindset, that's in my mind one of the critical principles of network building through trust. And if you can apply this in, and if you're a student, you can help another student. If that student goes on to present it, let's say, for example, and gets the best of presentations and you don't take any credit to it, wow, right? That's a thumbs up for you. That's credibility being built by you. And it always is one person at a time. Build the trust one person at a time, right? So that's my first principle. My second principle, and when I call it firm, the firm can represent anything. It can be family, it can be school. As I said, it can be a college, it can be an institution, it can be a sports team, it can be anything. Put the team, put the firm, not even the team, right? Put the firm. If you're working for a team, IPL, right? So if it is working, today there is a CSK match, right? And actually my son's out there waiting for me to join, and I'm going to join after this meeting out here, right? If you're playing for CSK, there are two ways of playing cricket, right? Either you play for yourself and you're only focused on playing for yourself, which means you are a great batsman, you always, or you're a great bowler and you always focus on your performance. Two, somebody who always works with the team in mind, right? Puts the team first all the time. If you apply the same analogy in an organization, I would say firm first. So any decision that you take will have multiple connotations on its repercussions. Your decision at this point in time could mean something to you, to your team, to your division, to your function, to your cost center, to your business unit, to your strategic business unit, whatever form. And there is also a consequence to the firm. And at times, what's good for you and your team may not be good for the company.
Yes.
You need to have that discretion and say, though it's good for, yes, they say, and there is this classic saying that you need to, when you have to save a village, you can give in a family. If you have to save a family, you give in an individual. But I would say it the other way around. All the time, put the firm first. Always ask this one question: is it right for the firm? Is it right for the company? Is it right for the organization? Is it right for my team? Is it right for whatever is the subset of what you're working for? But don't look at it at a subset level, but at a whole set level, which is to say, if you are a subset of something and there is a superset that is sitting out there, is this relevant and meaningful for the superset? Which is, in my mind, it's always the organization. If I'm working for Omega Healthcare, I may have an agenda, but that agenda works for a function, but does not work for Omega Healthcare. I will not do it. I should not do it. But how far an objective can you get to saying this makes sense? It can be a temporal arrangement, or it could be a long-standing impact from a strategy standpoint. It doesn't matter. Ask the first question and always the only question before you move on to any further decision. Is it right for the firm? If the answer is no, do not do it. It doesn't matter. You will get questioned multiple times. There will be bosses around you who can come back and say, just do what I say. You need to have the conviction. See, I am not talking about willful, negligent bosses and teams. I'm not talking about that environment, right? That's a toxic environment. If you are in a toxic environment, leave. Don't stay in yourself. Just leave. If the conscience is being pricked, and in all of these principles, I am not talking about ethics. I am not talking about conscience. I am not talking about something that I would assume you will always have in your life, right? I'm not talking about all of those. I'm working with the precondition that you are in a space and in a company or in a team that you're comfortable with. But somebody is asking you to do because that is their point of view. And that, is not possibly seeing the way you're seeing that issue, let's say, for example. And you have this opportunity to go back and say, time out, it is not right for the firm for these reasons, and therefore this shouldn't be done, and stick to your opinion. It can be anybody in the organization, Put firm first.
Yes.
Is my second point. My third, and this is relatively difficult to do, especially when you are working with strong-willed people who are all passionate. You will be working with a few people who are extremely passionate. But the problem with passion is also it comes with a fair amount of will to achieve something and to make a point. They are so exuberant. Passionate people are always emotional. They are and they want to make a forceful give you an opinion on it. You have to, and if you assume for the time being, you apply the earlier principle and say, hey, doesn't seem right. But then but the person that you're working with, maybe your boss, or you are part of a council, and there are 5 people out of 6 who are agreeing to it, let's say, for example, right? Or 4 out of 6 are agreeing to it, and they are not seeing your point. Now, what do you do? Now, I am talking about an objective, rational organization that is ethical and not into anything else, right? So please, you have to keep that at the background, right? I'm working with the premise that you're in the right space. You want to be the right team. You're already there. It's a great company. It is an ethical organization. It has the right values. But then there is a decision to be made, and you believe that it's not the right decision to be made. Now, what do you do? In that case, you have to agree to disagree. And that is very, very important to make sure that you are heard, that your points of view are heard. But then you also have to have the humility to say, if there are 4 other people who are seeing reason to doing it, and everybody are rational, maybe there is another way out. There may be many truths, so to say. If so, you can agree to disagree. But once you have made an agreement with the disagreement, please align with the overarching decision that has been taken. There are passive agreements, which is the most notorious of the lot in any organization, which is effectively saying, I agree just verbally, but not doing anything about it in the background and being very passive about it is a cancer in an organization. So when I say this, agree to disagree, you need to have the right attitude to doing it, because you're going to agree that, hey, you're a passionate person, you're saying that you're in disagreement, somebody else is saying that's the right way to do. You have to give them the benefit of doubt and say, okay, we'll do it with some caveats. We'll try it for so many days, so many weeks, so many months, or whatever that is. But you will also, once you do that, you can't come back and say, let me see how this guy does it. You see where I'm going with this? Always align, goes back to the previous point, put the firm first, and goes back to the first point, which is creating a relationship. Just be mindful about that. Once you agree to disagree, make sure you always align. And then the minute the alignment is done, then you are in agreement, right? Then you will have to effectively deliver on what you need to deliver. That is my third point. Fourth, this is again relatively difficult to do, but something that I have always been told as my USP, so to say, which is, I don't give a damn if you are the CEO or the CFO or the business unit head or whoever it is. If I have a point of view, I will be straight, I will be on the face, and as much as possible, I will be objective. I will be non-emotional. This is not something that comes to you from day one, because as people in India, we are all groomed in schools to be subservient. Which is to say, if I ask you to sit, you sit. If I ask you to stand, you stand. Discipline is different from agreeing to the fact that I am a subservient person. So when I'm talking about subservience, you typically go back to your Britishers' rules, right? And that's how subservience got into Indian ethos. Otherwise, Indians were never subservient in, if you look at your legacy, we are not subservient people. We were very flamboyant people. But then subservience came in between when Mughals and Britishers came in. Now, the reason why I'm giving this to you is really good leaders always want it on your face. Always don't, how many times have you been in a conversation where, one with senior leadership, their span of attention is really low. So if you go about something on a roundabout way, they will lose you. At the end of the conversation, a simple question is, what are you talking? Can you get to the point? If you want to avoid that 20-minute conversation, first point of what your connect has to be straight on the face. I believe what we are doing is right, or I believe what we are doing is wrong. These are the three reasons why I believe it is so. But for that to happen, you need to be you have to be convinced yourself, which means there needs to be conviction. And how will conviction come? Conviction can come only when you are thorough about what you're doing, which means you have done a fair amount of homework by yourself. So when you go there, you're articulating it appropriately and you're absolutely non-emotional about it, which is to say, hey, I'm objective, right? Goes back. I can agree to disagree because I have the ability to agree to disagree. Going back, hey, I'm putting form first for that matter. And going back, by the way, you anyway trust me, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
if you get straight to the point, and Priyanka, is it okay if I just continue with the flow, or is that okay? I just want to make sure that I just conclude it because that's all I had to say, right? I have another 4 more points if that's okay. Would that be okay, Priyanka?
Yes, sir. Sir, please, sir. We will love to listen, sir, please.
So the fourth principle, and I have seen this all the time, and as of today, when I talk to my board, the board loves to talk to me only because I give it to them straight, right? If there is a problem, there is a problem, right? We have a problem, we have a solution. There is a solution. If we don't have a solution, okay, let's work on a solution. Coming straight to the point. Now, the next principle I have, and this is I have given myself, is the 5-year big check, which is, as an individual, I've always looked at my career 5 years at a time. And when I take a call for the next 5 years, I don't go back to saying, is that the right thing to do or not? Because 5 years is what it takes in my mind to implement well, whatever your decisions are. You can't take a decision of switching your job in the next 6 months, say, hey, you know what? I think I have to look for another job, or I have to look for something else within the organization. If you don't have a point of view on how you want to build your own future 5 years at a time, then the fickleness that it is in your mind will only be detrimental to your growth in any forum that in any organization, in any group for that matter. So I would strongly recommend that when you look at your next 5 years, you always do so. And when you're getting to your 5th year, it's easy to say, right? You always go back and think about what you said you will achieve. Have you achieved that? All that milestone study that you do in any project management that you get into, if you can do, what other project do you have other than your life? And if the simplest of projects in computers or simplest of projects in software development requires project management, would you not be a solution architect of your own life to figure out what is right for you on the longer run? And if so, what have you done about it? Are you thinking about it the right way? And one of the principles that I have followed, which is why I haven't moved jobs, though I have been, there have been enough and more of offers that would have come in the interim. I wouldn't even go for I would just not have a conversation. Let's say, for example, if somebody calls me and says, are you interested in another job? Or are you interested in something else, for example? Because you need to be consistent with what you have been achieving, and you need to be always measuring it against what you have already planned for. At least give yourself 5 years to achieve what you're doing. Now, my 6th principle, and my apologies that I suppose I have another 5 minutes and I should be done. But my 6th principle is going to be that it's easy said than done. I did my MBA when I was 37. I did it from a school, which is Booth School of Business in University of Chicago. I did it because that's by far, in my mind, the most analytical of universities that you would have had. And I graduated with honors in like 38. And I cleared my CA when I was 23. It was a 15-year gap between when I ever did an academic study last, and I came back to MBA. And I said, I'm going to do an MBA because I don't want to be a finance guy all the time. I need to break that glass ceiling. I need to get into business. I have aspirations to be beyond a CFO, could be a CEO, could be a CDO, could be a CEO. But the ability of gauging yourself with respect to where are you effectively hitting a glass ceiling and what is it that you need to do to continuously learn. By the way, continuous learning does not stop only by getting a degree. Continuous learning is how many books do you read in a year, typically. Right? What kind of books do you read? I mean, of course, you can do fiction, you can do non-fiction, you can do a few many things. That's fine. How much do you do? How many of those continuous learning that you have on many platforms that you have, right? So I am into Coursera generally. I'm into LinkedIn Learning for that matter. I continuously kind of try. How many podcasts do you listen to? Are you constantly in check with what's happening in the market with respect to in your industry, in your domain? Like doctors do it all the time, right? They have to be up to speed, otherwise they are going to be redundant. What are you going to do in your own span to make sure that you're continuously learning? Think about continuous learning as a virtue than anything else. Now, this becomes a lot more interesting.
Mr. Kannan, sorry to interrupt, but what I feel is maybe the last 3 points, we'll keep it a suspense element at the end when we add in. That will be really adding more value. What do you feel, Mr. Kannan? It's going great and awesome, but
suspense
after the last 3 points, there's 7, 8, 9, 10. The last 4 points. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We have our author. So since you kept the last 6th point as continuous learning.
Sure. That's fine.
So we'll invite the author at this point.
Yeah, please do.
And we'll take his concurrence. And also from there, we take the 7, 8, 9, 10 points. Is that okay, Mr. Kannan?
I appreciate it. Thank you. No problem.
Yeah, that'll be really great. And so far, it's really been great and awesome. On 6 points, which we have discussed, it's really awesome. 6, the guiding principles from your real-time experiences, which you're sharing, which is really, really great. And I've been very, very practical points you're sharing, Mr. Kannan, is really, really good. And so I would request Ms. Priyanka to quickly ask a quiz question. After that is where we're going to invite the author. So Mr. Kannan, we have a quiz question of whatever we have been sharing, discussed so far with all our members so far over here. So Priyanka is going to ask a quiz question. So Priyanka, you have a quiz question ready? So
Yes, sir.
feel free to ask the quiz question. So members, this question is for you to answer on the chat box. So feel free to answer them, fastest fingers first. So keep that in mind, and then yes, go ahead. Yes, Priyanka, over to you for the quiz question.
Okay.
And we have certain nice goodies. We'll let you know what is it.
Thank you so much, sir. So my question is that, sir, talk about so lovely guiding principles, and what are the first 3 guiding principles that sir talked about?
Wow, good. So let's see, fastest finger. Oh, the people already first 3 is ready. Huh? Oh, come. Who is it? Okay, Rashmi. Oh, Rashmi. Okay, trust building comes from Uma. Then trust building comes from Rishi, is it? That's how we pronounce Rishi Jibun. Okay, good. If I pronounce your name correctly, Krishi or Rishi, that's fine. So maybe apology if I have pronounced it incorrect. So Prem was, and then good. Thanks very much, Nagaraju. So who's come fastest fingers first, Priyanka?
So Rashmi ma'am is there. So congratulations, ma'am, because
Thank you.
yes, sir. She mentioned all the 3 principles.
Okay, I believe Rashmi, you already wrote it and kept it ready. So you deleted the rest of the thing and you're sending it.
I won't tell you that.
But that's good. Awesome, Rashmi. That's
I've
really
taken
great.
notes actually, because I believe Mr. Kannan is giving very practical examples,
Yes,
and it's a very useful discussion. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. That's nice. Thanks, Rashmi. Thanks for being the quiz winner as well. So what we get by the quiz winner is where we are inviting the author of the week. And let me take the pleasure to invite the author of the week. And before that, everyone can type in congrats for Mr. Rashmi for being the quiz winner. So let me quickly take the privilege to invite the author of the week. Author of the week is Mr. Sai Vijendhiran. Mr. Sai Vijendhiran is a Film Institute student from DF Tech with a specialization in script writing and direction from Ray Institute of Film Technology, Chennai. He has written on 6 books on film industry. A great Sai, that's really nice. And he has worked in visiting faculty as a professor in Mindscreen, Loyola, LV Prasad, Chennai, and other studios as well. Has audited and doctored more than 100 scripts, and he has an experience of a script writer and director in various programs and different channels in media as well. Mr. Sai, we welcome you. And for your book, which is a unique book which we have today, which is going to be shared here on the screen by Mr. Arul. Mr. Sai, I believe you're able to
Yes.
speak. Yeah, now you're
Can you-
audible now, Mr. Sai. Thanks very much.
Good evening, leaders.
Good evening.
Thanks for welcoming me here. And it's my pleasure to join this forum and listen to Mr. Kannan. It was great and enlightening session from him. And my book is also in line with what he has spoken right now. See, I also have human resource experience apart from the film industry. Okay, so based on my experience, I created a methodology where like using neuro-linguistic programming, psychology, and HR. And this book is called as Character Matters, and it's all formulas. Okay, and we can create a minimum of 67,200 shades of human. Okay, so in an organization or in home or in a college, you may have a variety of people. People will disagree to agree or agree to disagree, isn't it? So in my personal life also, I have lost money, fame, directions because of getting along with the wrong people. Okay, so with that experience, I wanted to understand. Okay, so I have a television in home. I know what that does, and I have a washing machine in my home. I know what that does. Television doesn't do the work of a radio or a fridge, isn't it? So as I wanted to know what kind of people they are around me. So using this particular formula, I am able to understand there are 16 types of personalities and 4 major types. So using this formula, as I am working as an associate professor at Savita University in the visual communication department, and this book is more focused towards the film industry to write scripts and create characters. But it is not only limited for the film industry. Wherever we are interacting with the human beings, these formulas are applicable. We need to know with whom we are interacting with, our partner. Okay, I have lost close to 15 lakhs because of joining with a bad connect. Okay, I wanted to build a product, but that guy was a 18 years close friend of mine, but that guy doesn't want to get along with me. Okay, but since he is my close friend, I took an advantage of myself, saying that he is my close friend, so he will do anything for me. So based on that assumption, and I got into a lot of problems. So I'm not only authoring this book, I'm also enlightening people through various articles in my social media platform. So the basic agenda of this book is to understand people and get along with them if they are suitable. That is a major idea.
Great. Superb, Sai Vijendhiran. Thanks very much for sharing that particular book titled Character Matters. And as you rightly said, the network, which is very important, is also, that's what in fact Mr. Kannan was talking about. The network, what we build really matters, and the way how your connections really work really helps us to grow. And this Character Matters is the book which is also really giving us more and more depth of insights for us. Thanks, Sai, for being
one more point.
Yes, please, Sai. Yes.
They say that when we lose money or house or shelter or something, we can always regain it. Once we lose our character, it is very difficult for us to regain, isn't it? So that is the major agenda. Thank you so much for
very rightly said. Challenges will come. It could be of losing money, losing people, or losing positions, power. So many things, challenges may come, but even as we lose, the very important is the character, what we need to hold on, and demonstrating more of a productive habits, or what today Mr. Kannan is talking about, those 10 guiding principles which we are demonstrating in those challenging situations really matters a lot. Very rightly said, Sai Vijendhiran, the way how you are, I'm able to sense the way how you have articulated the book in terms of writing this Character Matters. Good. Keep it up and going. And Thanks very much, Sai Vijendhiran. I believe this book is
My
going to
pleasure.
be presented to our quiz winner today. Am I right, Sai?
Yes, indeed. Yes.
So, congratulations for
Rashmi, sir,
Richa,
Rashmi.
right? I mean, Rashmi. Congratulations, Rashmi, for getting this Character Matters book as a quiz winner. Keep it up. So, a book from an author to an author is what I would say. And even she's also an author. So, that's really great. Thanks very much, Sai Vijendhiran. And Arun, please do share Mr. Sai Vijendhiran's book link here on the chat box for all the members here who will be able to also see which is that book, and then they'll be able to, if they want to, in case to get that book, please feel free to get so. And also the LinkedIn links of Mr. Sai and LinkedIn links of Mr. Kannan also to be shared here on the chat box. So members who wish to connect with them, please feel free to connect. So great, Priyanka. So I believe that's also done. So shall we invite Priyanka, Mr. Kannan now again?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Sai, sir.
Good. So for all the members and visitors, are we ready to listen to the next 4 important principles from Mr. Kannan? If you all are ready, then type R in the chat box. Type R, not yes, type R in the chat box. And there is where Mr. Kannan is going to be in for us back again to share the next 4 principles. What are those? And 7th is already published on the screen, but yeah, still, but we need to listen to him. What's that experience all about? So 7, 8, 9, 10. And I believe this episode may or may not have our open discussions, but still, Mr. Kannan's real-time situations are itself more very understanding.
I will see. I'll quickly see if I can wrap it up in the next 3 minutes, right? And
yeah, completely fine.
Not about necessarily, convincing anybody about it. It needs to resonate with each of you. And
yeah.
it does. So,
True.
continuous learning was what I concluded with, but continuous experimentation is even more important.
Yes.
I keep telling teams that, it's not the very first experiment that the bulb was found. It's a very cliched example. But, the idea is you will be a greatest of losers if you do not experiment at all. I wouldn't say experiment widely. You have to have your risk mitigation, right? But when as a team, you let your team members experiment, you are empowering them a lot more than what you think they are, because the fear of failure is what prevents people to excellence. That's precisely it. And your ability to let people experiment, or the ability for your own teams to experiment, the ability for you to experiment for that matter at any given point in time. Trust me, today's innovation is tomorrow's business as usual. You cannot but experiment on an ongoing basis to keep up your creative work. You got to look at problem solving on an ongoing basis. Keep experimenting on the problems and be generous about it. As I said, work as a team, bring in your team members, or work as a group and bring in your group members. And the difference between the two is it can be very diverse group, and depending on what problem you are trying to solve for, right? So it can be an organizational problem, or it's a CSR problem. The way you guys are working on something right now, this whole forum, I'm sure, was an experiment at some point in time, and now it's grown into something which is much larger, and it's helping so many more people. That's an experiment, right? And it started with one, it then went to like, hey, why can't we put together a point of view on this? Let's try it with like 5 people. 5 became 50, 50 became 20, whatever the case may be. But not every one of them will succeed. Maybe 2 among 10, but it's like an investment portfolio. 2 of what you do the right could more than make up for the 8 that you experimented and failed. But keep that in mind, that it can be in any format, but do not lose, because the minute you stop experimenting, technically you've stopped growing in that sense. So keep that in mind as a very critical perspective. Now, this is by far the one thing that I have lived by, because I do not call myself a strategist. I call myself an execution specialist. Strategy is all but waste of paper if you can't execute on it. And in my mind, your ability to articulate a strategy and, breaking that into work breakdown structures, putting accountabilities, putting a project management around it, and trying to execute one thing at a time over the period of time and continuously doing so. And that execution excellence, or the execution focus, goes by the 80-20 rule. And if you're able to articulate that in your own life and to your own teams, what is the 80-20 rule? 80% of your time will be spent on trivia, on business as usual. 20% of the time you have to look at experiments and projects. But 80% of your KRA, you can call it a KRA, you can call it a KPI, you can call it whatever you want to for your personal life or in your professional life. 80% of your KRA has to be attached to the 20% that you work on. 80% of KRA is to be on the 20%, and the 20% you will barely get time because you are almost every day, day in and day out, working on the 80%. The whole concept of urgent versus important. You always focus on urgent cases and not important, and that which is important, if you don't focus till it gets into urgency, it would have lost a sheen. Therefore, it will ever be in the urgent zone. You will never grow as an organization. Execution focus has to be that to the extent of the number of projects and experiments that you deliver. And in your own personal life, your KRA and your team's KRA, 80% of your KRA should be on 20% of the time that you spend on. But 20% of time you will have to spend on something that is creative, something that is project dependent, and it has to be project oriented organization. Even if you're running a business as usual enterprise for that matter, always think about 80-20. When you think about 80-20, you always think about 80 than the 20. I am asking you to do the other way around. Do the 20 than the 80. Then the lesser you you spend on 80, the more you spend on 20, the lesser people will land up spending on 80 because you're going to either automate it or outsource it or whatever that is, right? Yes. Whichever way you want to think about it. Think about it from that standpoint. The last thing, and the last one is, I'll just leave you with it, right? In my mind, okay, how many of you, I'm sure everybody are in equity markets, or at least some of you are on equity markets, so you're putting yourself on mutual funds and whatnot. What is the single most important principle in investments with respect to equity? What is the single most important, right? What is that? Single most important?
Different eggs in different basket.
One. The larger principle is, I know we don't have time, but if you're building on equity, putting on equity market, you're putting on investment of that kind, the one thing you need to do is wait.
Yeah, patience.
Right? SIP, if you put, you actually lose money in 1 year.
Yeah.
Over 5 years, your returns could be 30%. But if you put it in your fixed deposits, you will get 5%, 5%, 5%. That's all you will get. But if you want to get extremely high return, you got to build equity. If that applies in the equity market, that applies in your life. That applies in every single relationship that you have. First comes investment. Second comes the waiting period and patience. Third, you reap your benefits and returns. That is true of an organization. You get into an organization, do not think about what cliched. Sorry, I'm saying that. Don't think about what the organization can give you. Think about what you can give the organization. But keep doing it for the first 3 years. 3 years, you would have built equity, you would have built the trust, you would have put the firm first. Think about all the principles that you have. Apply those principles for the first 4 years. Trust me, by the 5th year, the leverage that you have of all that you have done by building in the equity will take you 5 places ahead of what it would have taken somebody else who have been very opportunistic. What do you mean by opportunistic? I was in one firm, 1 year later the other firm, 1 year later the other firm. At some point, you people are going to say you are a grasshopper. That's it, right? Your ability to create equity for yourself or the organization will depend on the quantum, and it is inversely proportional. Your time spent is directly proportional to your return that you get. The longer, the better, but it is inversely proportional if you're hopping, because what goes up will directly come down. You will never have a trajectory that goes all the way from a maturity standpoint. So always think, and it is true of relationships as well. Unfortunately, now relationships have become fast food, short term.
Yeah.
Think about it. It applies to every single thing in your life, right? When you build equity one at a time. But first comes the investment, second is the waiting period, and the continuous application of everything else, and you will reap much more benefits from where we are. I just want to stop there. I have some of these, I can send it to you later. But my last principle, and forever I will rest in peace, is be happily dissatisfied. What does it mean? You're happy because you have done great work, but you're never satisfied with it, which means you have always something more to do. You have something more to embellish, something more to achieve, something more to better on. Never be happy. I'm not saying it in the wrong sense, right? Because this is an oxymoron. Happily dissatisfied is an oxymoron in a way, but think about it right way. Because you're happy doing what you're doing. You're not dissatisfied because you have something better all the time. That will always put yourself on the creative mode. I will leave it at that. Guys, these are my 10 principles that I've lived by all my life. It's really helped me. If it helps you, that'll be great. But thanks for the opportunity to talk. Then I'll take questions if required.
Great.
Thank you so much, sir. I think I will request Prakash sir once again, sir, that we would love to have your session once again, sir. So really, I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude for this awesome session. And sir, the insights and expertise were incredibly, it was very valuable. And really, sir, we learned a lot of things. And the first and the last thing which I have learned, sir, so trust. If we remove T from the trust, it will become rust. So trust, which you have thrown in the first given point, sir, it was really a beautiful chapter for us to learn. Once again, thank you so much, sir, for the incredible session. And your really your contributions are greatly appreciated. And we feel fortunate to have the opportunity to learn from you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Really, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Priyanka. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Kannan. So just we have a quick summary, and the next week's leader alone, we will be doing it. But thanks very much, Priyanka. Priyanka, we missed introducing. It'll be really great if you can introduce yourself in just short. That will be very great. So even Mr. Kannan would know you. I know. Thanks very much for the last minute. You'll be able to come up as a panel discussion leader's role also you've taken. Thanks very much. Please introduce yourself, Ms. Priyanka.
Thank you, sir. So my name is Priyanka Bhatia, and I'm working in Ambuja Cement Foundation as a soft skill trainer. And overall, I have 8+ years of experience. Earlier, I was working in a Nange group of companies as a senior marketing manager. But my passion is and my strength is to do something for the society. So I joined Ambuja Cement Foundation as a trainer. And now I want to grow myself in L&D. And that's the reasons I joined this platform, and I'm learning a lot. So thank you so much, sir, for taking me in this platform.
Oh, always,
thank you so
always
much,
pleasure.
Kannan, sir. Thank you so much, Prakash, sir.
Thanks, Priyanka. Thank you very much. And Kannan, was really very insightful. Thanks very much for being with us and investing. I would rather say investing your time in creating more leaders rather than using the word spending our time in creating more leaders. And that's what we have done. In fact, so many other leaders are here in the forum who keep coming and gain a lot of insights from different people or leaders' experiences. And today is what your experience has really guided many people over here today. So let me quickly take the...
Thanks a lot.
Yes.
I will take leave, but all the best to the team. All the best.
Yes, thanks very much, Kannan. That's really been great. And thanks. I know that you've been having a hard stop, but please go ahead and we will stay in touch, Mr. Kannan. That's really been great. Thanks very much. And we'll stay in touch. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, great. So, Mr. Senthil, I would request you to quickly do a summary of what Mr. Kannan has spoken. Those 10 bullet points alone, if you can just share, Mr. Senthil, that will be adding value. Yeah. And quickly introduce yourself, Senthil, and then share those 10 bullet points for helping all our other members over here, so that be able to quickly summarize. Yes, Mr. Senthil.
Yeah, thank you.
You introduce yourself and then go ahead with that.
Thank you very much, Prakash. By the way, this is Senthil here. I've been in the automotive industry for almost 28 years, of which 14 years been in the planet working with the Daimler India commercial vehicle in Chennai. I'm presently in learning and training section of my present role, where I am mainly involved in upskilling as well as the talent development for the employees, white-collar employees. So that's a short introduction. Time keeps pressing. I would like to give gist of about the 10 bullet points of what Mr. Kannan has given. Point number 1, trust building is a core to all facets of career building. It means be true to yourself. Second is firm first. It means put the team first in all the aspects. Point number 3, agree to disagree, but always align. This means always, even if you are at minority at the time of disagreement, be humility, still have the humility to agree to the disagreement, even if the majority team gives the decision. Fourth point is straight on the face, not emotional. It means don't go on a roundabout topic, articulate straight to the point without any emotional carrying. Point number 5, 5 years dip check. Always try to do a retrospection and see how your plan that you have started at the beginning gets executed at least within the 5 years. Sixth point is continuous learning. It means constantly upskilling to beat yourself. It means you need to be like a lifelong learning so that your ability to learn decides your capacity to earn. Next is continuous experiment. It means fear of failure will always try to put you down. Still, you learn from the failure and be bold to face it and keep going. Point number 8 is execution focused. It is 80-20 rule, like how we do a work breakdown structure in a project management. Divide this work breakdown into a small work package and to focus on the tribal 20, so that you have confidence to fix it. Point number 9, build equity. Wait, like how you invest in the share market, invest at the beginning, be patient and wait for your reaping rewards in any organization. It means invest your skill, be patient for your effort and wait for the reaping reward. Point number 10, last but not least, be happily dissatisfied. It means never compromise. Strive better to see better version of you every day by putting yourself out from the comfort zone.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sindhil. Awesome. 10 points quickly narrated. It gives a lot of understanding and clarity for the people who missed it.
Yeah.
Maybe people, we'll put in the group, WhatsApp group, and we can take the key learnings from the same and keep coming once every week after week. And with that, we'll quickly come to a summary. After summary, we'll thank all the leaders who joined us. Yes, I understand Mr. Kannan had a hard stop and he had to quickly leave for another meeting. But let me quickly give the privilege to Ms. Uma to thank all the leaders who have joined us here today and all the panel discussions, all the leaders, and also introduce the leader of the week, the guest of honor for next week. And all that also you can introduce. So that will help us in doing it. So after this, we request all the leaders, we have a quick introduction. Generally, we have a quick intro for people who all have joined us this week or people who joined us for the first time. We give an opportunity to introduce yourself. After all the thanking has been done, we'll be doing the same. So yes, over to you, Uma. Quickly introduce yourself in short and then start about thanking all the leaders.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. It's my privilege to be part of Leaders Connect Forum. And myself, Uma Parameshwari, and I'm currently pursuing my PhD at VIT under the title of Leadership and Employee Retention. And I'm also doing consulting to 2 companies in terms of research and also HR consultant. So this is a small gist about me. Let's come to the vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to say all the 10 points are incredibly valuable, and I could say that the most important what I felt was like agree to disagree, but always align. This is one of the important takeaway that I could say that every one of us had today. Before sharing, for the visitors who are attending for the first time, Leaders Connect 360 is a hybrid model leadership community where every Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. we invite a top management leader from a reputed corporate company to suggest some solutions to our real-time leadership challenges, like what we had today from Mr. Kannan Sugantharaman. It's very simple to join our community. Do click on the below social media links. Let me now take an opportunity to announce our next week guest, Ms. Manu Saigal, Director General, Staffing and Permanent Placement, Adecco India. Episode will be on digital innovation and technology for gender equality. Join us on 19th April 2023, Wednesday, between 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. on Zoom Live. Registration link for the episode will be shared through social media platforms duly. It gives me an immense pleasure to thank our guest of honor today, Mr. Kannan Sugantharaman, and panel discussion leader, Ms. Priyanka Bhatia, and author Sai Vijendhiran for spending your valuable time in sharing your experience and solutions. Guests and others in the house, kindly accept our gesture of thanking through a medium of thanking video. We request the new members and visitors to stay tuned till the end as we will give an opportunity to introduce ourselves, which will help us network better. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Uma. It's been really great. Before when the video, that's fine. Maybe we can stop sharing because already it's too late for us to play the video. That's fine. Maybe we'll stop the recording. I'll go directly